Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me on the Where's Shmee Euro Tour on a beautiful day here in the Netherlands, today at the home of Donkervoort. Now I came to visit Donkervoort about 7 years ago to drive the D8 GTO. About 5 years ago I drove the D8 GTO RS, and that was titled Bonkers Donkers because it was monumentally epic. Well, today, thanks to the owner of this car, Dr. Sasha G, I'm going to experience the D8 GTO JD70 individual series. Only going to be 100 of these in total. We've got the full carbon body. We've got an interior that features leather from Hermes with quite a few cool details we can take a look at. And we're going to have a full exploration of this car, go out for a drive on the road. But to give you a few quick numbers, over 400 horsepower, under 700 kilos, quick maths tells you that's going to be very, very fast. So let's see all about it then today here at Donkervoort, the D8 GTO JD70 individual series. We're going to start with a walk around of the car, but first a bit of a background to Donkervoort. If you're not familiar with the company, Joop Donkervoort founded the company back in 1978 with the D8, their main model. When Audi got involved with the partnership for the engines in 2011, we had the D8 GTO powered by the 2.5 litre 5-cylinder engine, famous from the likes of the Audi TTRS, and what a fabulous engine it is indeed. The D8 GTO evolved to the RS, of which there are only 65 cars. There was the 40th anniversary car in 2018, only 40. Then they had the JD70, of which there are of course 70. JD, Joop Donkervoort, and in fact this car is signed by Joop and his son Denny as well. But in terms of the engine, we've got that 2.5 litre 5-cylinder. It makes 415 horsepower, 560 newton meters, yet the car only weighs, get this, 680 kilos. That means this thing with a 5-speed manual gearbox can still do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 62 miles an hour in only 2.7 seconds, 0 to 200 kilometers an hour, 124 miles an hour in only 7.6 seconds, and you can go to a top speed of 286 kilometers an hour, 178 miles per hour. Now there are so many things that make it very, very special. It's all about lightweight, and this particular example is the ultimate expression of the individual series with the full carbon fibre bodywork. As you can see, you've got this magnificent burgundy tint over all of the exposed bodywork, and in fact this particular example is one of the very few to have the carbon engine cover as well over the top up here, with all of this matching in, looking amazing, plus all of the details to the interior that we'll hop to in a moment. Now, performance is of course absolutely key, and this can corner at 2G thanks to the Nankang tyres that are actually made specifically for the D8 GTO, and in fact with an output of about 50 cars a year here from Donkervoort. We've also got the carbon wheels, by the way. They actually make a specific tyre for the car, which I believe makes it the world's first super sports car to be able to corner at 2G, and that would feel quite intense when you're experiencing it. Now, being the JD70, there are some specific badges and designations. So around here on this more aggressive front that came with the GTO updates, we've got the badge just here as well. Joop Donkervoort, obviously the founder of the company. I want to come and show you the interior of it though, because as I said, this particular car belonging to the customer, Dr. Sasha G, has very kindly let me take a look at it and take it for a drive today. It's actually going to be going to Israel, which has quite a few specific sets of requirements versus cars that are homologated for other regions. Of course, the car is homologated in Europe, and in fact, they're now going to the USA as well. So the first couple of D8 GTOs have gone over to the US, which is really quite an exciting, I think, thing for the company. The doors actually open up like this, and they weigh 1 kilo. This is a 1 kilo door to reveal this interior, which quite literally has leather that has come from Hermes. The customer has supplied the leather. It's a thicker leather than perhaps normal, but it looks awesome. That traditional Hermes colour, the slightly orange tint on the leather, contrasting with the carbon, and actually these bucket seats only weigh 1 kilo as well, the frames and the shells that they use for them. But as you can see inside here, it's all about purpose. Small steering wheel, manual controls. You can adjust the assistance to the steering, the brake bias. You can change a whole host of different elements of it and details and set it up for the drive, and it's a manual. It's a car that is all about fun, is all about experience, is all about being enjoyable to drive, and well, we're going to experience a lot more of that very shortly. Now I'd like to show you back here as well, because this is a really very special detail. You've got the poppers that hold this cover over the luggage storage area at the back. We'll just open all of these very quickly, because inside here, if we can just slide this forwards, is actually a suitcase in carbon fibre with the Hermes luggage straps around it as well. What an amazing detail. You do actually get a fabric soft top if you'd like to put that on, but pretty much all Donkervoort customers, I think, choose to put those away because, let's face it, it's a car to enjoy on a lovely day like today. It's a car to take to the racetrack. It's a car to really push on a little bit with. Now, there were a few changes from the RS that I drove before. The RS actually here at the diffuser, and you can see this is obviously set up for maximum performance, used to have the exhaust system with tailpipes, one on each side, but with newer regulations that have come in since, particulate filters and that side of things, they now have a side exit pipe which has been built in here, which actually is a little bit lighter and comes with a few other benefits as well, and as a dealer fit upgrade to be able to take away that should you wish to have a little bit more noise. So believe me, this is going to sound truly fantastic. I think it's a wonderfully presented car. It's almost a bit the end of an era, the last model of the D8 GTO before things happen next from here and we get to see the changes, I suppose, going forwards. But this is a car that I'm quite looking forward to. So let me try and hop on board and show you how you do this, how you actually climb into the D8 GTO. There's no particularly pretty way to do it. You effectively step in, you've got the frame, you probably can't quite see it, that you press against with your feet just down below, then put your hands either side and slide yourself down into the car, and you are obviously sat very, very snugly inside here, but it feels very purposeful. And one of the instant things that I've noticed even just sitting still is that the shifter, if you come in here, which has this specific carbon knob, and in fact the Hermes gator surround as well, has the shortest throw, I think, of any car I've ever driven. Now, there's a bit of drama around the startup process as well, because you don't just press a button. In fact, in the very center of the car, you, like in a jet or something, flip up this, flip the switch up here, take the key, which just inserts into the center, wake it up quickly, and boom, we're rumbling. And it feels like it means business. The vibrations, the sensors inside here, yes, we're kind of completely open to the elements, but this is something I can tell you is going to be mega. So let me gear myself up to take this out for a little run and go see what the JD70 is like. So, inside the car, into gear, first drive. Let's take this out, that very short throw, and of course you are sat super low to the ground. There is a long bonnet out in front, open to the elements on a beautiful day, hearing all of the stones. At the moment, adjusted the mirrors, got everything set up, but let's do this, let's go drive. You feel the vibrations, and I'm sorry if the camera is perhaps shaking around a little bit, but inside here you have a sense of power, and the power to weight is more than most hypercars. You know, to have this amount of horsepower, 415 bhp, combined with a car that weighs so little, and you can hear the sounds of it just feeling like they're all around you. This means business. And on the dashboard here, we've got the signatures of Donkervoort and Denis just there. How cool is that in this particular example? Everything is really purposeful, but has a charm and a character to it as well. Everything that you're looking at, I've got to gauge the size and scale, getting flashed at driving in this, but even just taking it easy, cruising out. We've got the 5-speed manual in here. We've got a toggle for sport as well. You can pop that up just to sharpen things even more. Got to learn and get familiar with this. Sport off just for the moment while I'm taking it a little bit easy. You feel very snug in the cockpit, as you might expect. You've got this tiny steering wheel, the carbon fibre centerpiece of that, a few switches and buttons around as well. You've got the air conditioning vents you can open up. You've got a heater underneath the dashboard as well, very much needed on a day like today. A small digital screen right in front of me, and a few other specific displays which are part of the car going to Israel, where it needs to have an ADAS system, an advanced driver assistance system, so it's got some sensors up top and an additional display alongside, which is quite fun. That Donkervoort have been able to integrate that, have been able to include those elements into it. I'm just taking my time to get accustomed with what I'm driving. We've got the brake bias selector in the center. Not entirely sure where that is currently set, hopefully somewhere in the middle. There's a steering assistance toggle as well, so you can make it completely manual, or as I've got it at the moment, basically towards the automated or assisted end. I'll put it somewhere in towards the center. But there's a whole lot to try and adapt and get familiar with. It just feels tiny, it feels light, it feels small, it feels nimble, it feels exciting. It feels like everything you want an exciting car to be these days. You know, if we're heading to a world with electric, autonomous everything, when you take a car out because you want to drive it, you want to drive it. You want something that has the required aids to be homologated, to be something that can be driven on the road, but you want to be able to feel the car, feel part of the car. Do that. Goodness me, and remember, this can go to nearly 180 miles per hour. I hope you can hear me over the wind noise, but the senses are in overload, the vibrations, the feel, and Donkervoort have such an active community as well. The different track day events they host, the adventure tours as well, with a ton of different people attending and using these cars. And I recently went to Damat in Brussels and met with Loic Damat, and we were talking about his D8 GTO RS as well, and how he takes that out to track days, and I see that with the Donkervoort community. Of course, many customers here in the Netherlands, given the homegrown nature of it, but even now the cars heading to the US, heading around the world, being available to many others. Everything is really to the point, you know, the pedals you need to be precise with. Oh, it's fun to see the suspension moving of the front wheels. I mean, even just driving this slowly, this is an event. This is an absolute event. Now, we're obviously in the Netherlands, a very flat area with very straight roads, as you can see here. So not spoiled with choice for driving twisty mountain passes or racetrack style. Even just here. Oh, you feel that. So light, so powerful. My word. This feels like something, and how Dutch is this, where I am right now, this area. Oh, the sound of those shifts, the bubbles, the noises. This is pure driving, you know, this is what we don't have enough of anymore. This is, forget the kind of commuting run, this isn't going to be your choice of car for that. Far too involving and hardcore. But if you want to take a car out and just drive it for driving pleasure, you can't really beat this kind of thing. You just cannot do better. What a place, what a day. Oh, this is amazing. I had no idea the weather was going to be so much on site today. But boy, am I pleased about it. Oh, just amazing. Thankfully, we've got a little driveway here because there is a car coming towards us, so I can pull in, out the way, and hopefully you can go past. Gosh, right, I'm going to have to go into reverse, which is there. We've got a reversing camera even on this little display. Oh, I've clearly turned off all of the assisted steering. I want that back. Right, into first gear. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit easier. Don't want to drive through that pothole. It's really quite quick. I mean, I'm feathering throttle because obviously driving on the public road, and this is a very, very potent machine. In fact, the 0 to 200 km/h time, 7.6 seconds. For some perspective, my Senna with a dual clutch is 6.9. This is a manual. You've got to get it off the line. You've got to shift, and you can still do it in pretty close to the same time, give or take 10%. That is, in real world performance terms, right up there. And a 5-speed means that you don't need to forever shift. You can keep it in gear, and you've got a lot of torque available, 560 Newton meters. Enjoying the shifting back and forth as I cruise down this very straight road, wondering where the corners are. But hey, I'm not in the right place for that. I love that they make these here. It doesn't feel right at all. In the Netherlands, you have an immense number of electric cars, Teslas everywhere, all of the e-trons and the EQCs, etc., etc. As some deer are running across the road in front of me. Always got to watch out for those. Let's actually just chill out. Wow, it's quite fun actually. Oh, they're running across the field there. Just epic times. This is fabulous. Wow. Just wow, just absolutely wow. Gosh, you feel that? I'm just literally feathering the throttle. I can't go full throttle here. You need to be in the right place to do that, and this is not the right place for it. You're not necessarily filled with creature comforts, and you know, it's a pretty tight squeeze sitting inside here. There isn't exactly a lot of space to put your arms, to put your hands, other than on the gear shift, on the steering wheel, and do what you need to do to drive the D8 GTO JD70. I love seeing the wheels move up front. I love seeing the suspension in operation. Just gently does it, squeeze past. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. You know what? Impracticalities, vibrations, feeling shaken around, these are things that on paper are a bad thing, but in reality remind you what driving is about. They remind you why and I think you guys absolutely love this stuff. This is what it's about. And there's that sense of satisfaction when you get it right. And you know, my first few shifts were a little bit sketchy, I'm not gonna lie, just adjusting to the feel of the clutch pedal, again with very little travel. Not the heaviest of clutches, but all of the movements and inputs are all very small, very tight. Steering, for example, the pedals, the shifter, and all of these details and things that are around. I'm hoping we can pull out here onto a main road and then go and have a little bit more of a play and accelerate a little bit harder. Do you know what? It's not hard to drive at all. You might be thinking that it would be awkward or difficult, but it's certainly not. When the road opens up, wow. Wow, this is really cool. This is really very, very, very special. Oh, this is what I remember. This is why I called it Bonkers Donkers, and this is why I might have called it Bonkers Donkers again, because it is bonkers. I mean, I know when you push on harder, it gets even wilder. You know, you've got lots of, I think, cars that fit into this quite fun category, but this is the hyper version. This is the hyper Caterham, the hyper, I mean, there are some very fast Caterhams, don't get me wrong, but this is really the extreme end in every way. And it's really quite loud when you're inside, but I tell you what, the heater's doing a nice job for me down here. We've got ABS turned on, we've got traction on full as well. You can obviously rotate this little toggle between the 5 different settings, turn it down, and I imagine if you do, that's where it will start getting very lively very, very, very quickly. Yes, case in point. But my word, did it sound good, and that's a traction in 3 of 5. Turn it fully off. And this thing's going to be slipping around everywhere. Oh, we've got some KLM planes just chilling over there. I hope that's not a... I know, it is at an airfield. Wow. I mean, I'm just taking it easy right now. Just now enjoying pure smiles. That's what this is about, pure smiles. Yeah, I mean, what more can I say? What a delight. Every time back on the throttle, just building up those revs. Feeling every bit of it. It's funny when it's a car like this, and you know, if I wanted to try and pick out, let's say, the bad things, they're all going to be the things that are stupidly obvious. It's a bit awkward if you want to put on the fabric soft top contraption. It's a little bit squished and uncomfortable. It's a little bit lacking your latest stereo system and all of the displays for infotainment, but that is exactly what this car is not about. This car is not about anything to do with that. It's about having the time of your life when you're driving it. I can't work out the speed limits here in the Netherlands. Sometimes like a minute 80 going 80, somebody flies past, sometimes they don't. I haven't got a clue, but what I do know is that each time you shift, and each time you get that shift right, you feel like you've done something really cool. You feel like you've properly been able to engage with it. And I love that there's a KLM 747 here. Miss the days of flying on 747s already, but you can see how quickly I've got accustomed to this, got comfortable with it. The traffic light is no bad thing because it means an opportunity to accelerate out the other end. Alright, down to a standstill. Oh, we got the green light already. Away we go. This, ladies and gentlemen, is epic motoring. Long may it continue. And I can only imagine what Donkervoort are cooking up for the next car, for what happens next. This is a very special way to end the decade or so of the D8 GTO. The D8 GTO has been mega for the company, increasing output. You know, there are about 1,500 or so Donkervoorts in total in the world. They make about 50 or so a year, up from about 35 or so a couple of years back. Which means that it's still a family company, it's still a small company, it still has the ability to work and give customers that relationship with the brand, that connection with the factory, that ability to make personalized changes, specifications, custom details, etc. While obviously getting enough of them out there to organize events, to put together drives and gatherings and different fun activities. I love that these traffic lights all seem to be changing right when I need them to. It makes my life very, very easy. And then back out onto the straight. This is mega. It's absolutely mega, and I'm not even cornering. I mean, at 2G cornering. Okay, I feel like I'm praising it too much. I'll tell you one other thing. Price. Price is a big deal. 200,000 euros, basically, for a base car. 300,000 if you spec it up fully, carbon. This is a loaded car. This has everything. This has absolutely everything that you can spec on a Donkervoort. It's a lot of money for arguably something that's, you know, a bit of a Sunday toy. Even if it does that. Something that's a bit of a, you know, plaything. You're not going to, well, respect to anybody who is commuting to work with one of these, but obviously that's not the primary objective of the car in the slightest. I've had a whale of a time driving this. Thank you to the very kind owner. He has an epic car. Big thanks, Dr. Sasha G, link down below. But yeah, awesome. I'm a little bit kind of lost for words because it's so much fun. And just the memories of my previous driving experiences in the D8 GTO and the D8 GTO RS coming flashing back with the JD70. I hope things like this can still exist. I hope small manufacturer exemptions allow these cars to keep going for the future. And I look forward to seeing some of them in America as well. In the US, those of you guys out there, I mean, it's the height of fun. It's well worth trying one. Well worth trying out if you possibly can. And just have something really quite special. You know what I haven't tried enough though, is back into sport, just to see how much that actually changes. It's cool, isn't it? To blip it down, obviously we've got the brakes squealing away at us there. I'm sure if you just put a little bit of throttle here, it would happily just kick the back around, but we're not going to be doing that on the road, unfortunately. Straight line though. It has a really exciting squirm under throttle. Obviously you need to get the tyres up to temps to be properly engaged and doing exactly what you want from them. But when you do accelerate, when you do feel a little bit of that, it's exciting. It's a little bit edge of the seat, it's a little bit risky, it's a little bit kind of, ooh, am I allowed to be doing this? Am I supposed to be accelerating in the way that I am? But you know what? Yes, you are. Yes, you absolutely are, because that's what this is built to do. Oh gosh, that felt so good. Oh, so this car also, by the way, has a carbon fibre tunnel. Normally that would be leather. This was all a bespoke design by the owner to basically split it and have that carry through. No, let's not do a burnout. Have that carry through of the carbon from outside. A little bit more lively sport, but I mean, to be honest, at this kind of speed and style doesn't change a whole lot of the experience. Ah, good times! Resist the urge to flick the tail out, because I'll probably make a horrible mess of it and there are cars around. And many other reasons, such as the legality of it in the first place. Anyway, crawling back towards Donkervoort HQ. The steering is pinpoint, it's so good. Super sharp. I mean, at the moment I've got an ID3 behind me, VW, and this really sums it up, right? That would be your A to B commuting car. This is your, hey, it's Sunday and I want to have some fun. I'm taking out something cool. This is what you're going to drive. This is what you want to go out and have some fun with. This is what you want to enjoy. Just have an amazing time with. And I don't think really much else will do that better as we head towards the future with fewer and fewer cars that offer engagement, that offer feedback, that offer a raw driving experience. And as long as we can drive in something like this, I jolly well want to make the most of it. What a fabulous day this has been, coming here to Donkervoort to drive this today. Absolutely brilliant. Totally loved it. I thought I would. You certainly feel it in your palm, by the way, from the shifter because of how stiff it is. You're certainly conscious of having to force that backwards and forwards all the way down to the end of the road here. You lift off those vibrations and burbles and sounds and throw it into a corner. Oh, it feels brilliant. It feels absolutely brilliant. I wish there was an opportunity to go to a racetrack or a mountain pass right now, but hey, I'm not going to complain. It's still been great fun. Still been a spectacular drive. Ending with the stones. We'll take it slowly and easily. And swing back up here. Well, that was fun. If you couldn't tell by my reactions. Neutral. Park brake on. That was really fun. That was really fun. Key out, flip the switch down. Hey, there's one thing we're going to nitpick at. Audi key, obviously, because Audi engine, but with the Donkervoort badge on the back. Hey, that's a good thing at the end of the day. It means they have access to a well-engineered, reliable, quality engine. that delivers a whole lot of power with that lovely 5-cylinder soundtrack. Hey, after the RS3 leaves, I'll be missing a 5-cylinder in the garage. Think about that one. Oh, I don't want to get out. I feel comfortable in here now. Right, let me hop out. We'll have a look at a few more things. I've had a few minutes to process that drive, and what a drive. I tell you what, it's unlike anything else, and that's just a gentle stroll on the public road. I know what it can do at the other end. I did get to drive it on a test track, or rather the original car, the D8 GTO, on a test track, the RS on the roads in the south of France. But to have a little bit more of a look at it, the dashboard with the black carbon has those signatures on it, as I mentioned, all the controls, switch gear and selectors, and then this interior with these seats, with the Hermes leather, the way these are designed, the way you just have that single carbon strut up towards the headrest. Totally minimalistic, saving weight everywhere possible with this car. One of the 70 JD70 cars in total, and a very, very special thing as well. But let's head inside to the showroom here, where there's plenty more to take a look at. Lots of different cars from the different eras, including the heritage area upstairs, which we'll go and check out in a moment. So we've got the pair of the JD70s here, two of the other 69 cars that we have in total, this one in the full grey paint. But come round towards the side to have a look at the work that Donkervoort are doing with the carbon fibre. Look at this carbon weave along the side and over the exhaust surround with that large kind of dual tone weave. They can obviously do lots of different bespoke designs and elements depending how the customer would like to have the car. And then on the green one over here, just to come this way, they've actually got an example of something else you can do as well. Different seat options for different customers, whatever it might be. So here we've got this seat on this side, and we've got a slightly different seat for the driver's side as well. Very nice in the dark green exposed carbon on that one. Now, if we wind back a little bit in time, we've got the D8 GTO before the RS update, so you can see the slightly different look to the front end. We've then got a trio of the 40th anniversary cars. There are only 40 of those, as you might have guessed, based on the RS, just a little bit more exclusive as well with those ones. But then if we come all the way to the other end here, some more rather exciting things to take a look at. We have the race cars. So they also make cars specifically for racing, and in fact there's a race winner upstairs as well. But these two, I want to show you if we come in fact, are the RS race cars. We've got a sequential in here. This car actually has the sequential gear shift, you can see just in the centre. Certainly a pretty exciting way to go about things. And then alongside the blue car, the red car actually has paddles. They've got a hydraulic system set up in here, as you can see as well. Really cool. The actual full-on race car versions. Then we've got the GT, which came just before the GTO, obviously the coupe style bodywork, and we've got one of the older cars, the S8 as well, from the earlier period of Donkervoort. But if we come this way, I want to take you upstairs because it takes back in history a little bit, back to 1978 when the company was started. The first cars, in fact, car number 2 is just upstairs. But Donkervoort has always been this ethos of lightweight. And I said about the race winner, which we'll get to as well. That was an era when they had, well, they took part in the 2011 Dubai 24 Hours in a new segment, the lightweight GT4 cars, or GT4 lightweight even, and they actually were victorious at it. So that's pretty cool. But up here, as you can see, we start with the S7, which was actually chassis number 2, the second Donkervoort ever, which has been restored and now sits here on display with the heritage cars. We then come through to a cutout of the S8 to give a little bit of a look of what it was like inside, obviously in the early era of the company back in the 80s. We then have, for the 10th anniversary of Donkervoort in 1988, they made this, the D10. The D10 celebrating obviously the 10 years of the company, but something we see a lot of right now. Cars with no windshield, open, Barchetta style. That has obviously become quite the norm with super hypercars in the latest era. This is all part of the partnership with Audi, the early stages of that partnership, racing, motorsport, competing, the companies having worked together a little bit prior to the release of the D8 GTO. And in fact, if you come through this way, this particular car is the V6 engine installed, but the problem with that was to get enough power meant it couldn't pass regulations. So that's why that didn't work out. And then this is that race winner that I mentioned, the exact car that won its class in the 2011 Dubai 24 Hours, driven by a number of drivers, including Denis Donkervoort, and the car parked just here. But back outside with the car of the day, of course, they're now going to the US, there are lots in the Netherlands, but I don't think there are any in the UK, and there should be, because we love cars like this. We love open top motoring. You can cover it if you need to when the British weather does its thing, but this has been quite an experience to get back behind the wheel of. I mean, there's so much more to it. I haven't obviously touched on the design, the aero, the cooling, but all of this has been, engineered to make something with this much power while keeping it as light as possible. You can see some of the exposed suspension components that tuck in here, obviously wheel covers as per homologation and things as well. It's just a really fun drive, and that's something we don't have enough of. So what an experience today here at Donkervoort in the Netherlands, driving this car. Again, a big thanks to the owner of it, Dr. Sasha G, for the opportunity to take this out today. I've had a lot of fun, and I hope you've enjoyed coming along for the ride with me as well in the D8 GTO JD70. That's it for now though. Thank you very much for watching as always, guys. I appreciate your support an awful lot. I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.